So I think before we jump into the new stuff here, got some questions coming in. Garrick here asks, "What's your take on people saying Terminator Dark Fate failed because it's woke?" My take on that is that people, I don't want to say are dumb, but they're misguided. And I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's a fair assessment to say. Because when you watch the movie, there's nothing that's woke in the movie. There's nothing that's woke at all. And I've asked a lot of people, how is it woke? Where is it woke? What's going on? And they'll say things like, it's anti feminine. Really, the entire Terminator franchise that James Cameron has been involved with has been super feminine or aimed around strong women. Sarah Connor is a strong female icon. That's been around for 28 years now. That hasn't changed. So you have to kind of laugh at that, don't you? Like they sit there and they say it's anti-motherhood. Nothing about it was anti-motherhood. I don't know where that came from. That was someone's hot take to me in a comment section. Of course, when I press them to tell me more, they say, well, I don't want to be I don't want it to be a diatribe. I don't want it to be a diatribe here. I just going to tell you, this is my thought. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any damn sense. So the other part of that people like to bring up, there's a line in the movie where, and there's kind of some spoiler territory here, where Sarah Connor talks to Danny and they're kind of trying to figure out, Danny's trying to figure out why she's been targeted. And Sarah believes, and because Sarah is kind of, I believe, her experience then gets transferred onto us or imprinted onto us. She believes that it's because she's going to give birth to the leader of the resistance. That this, of course, is just another ploy by not Skynet now, but Legion to just repeat history. They were successful in completing their previous mission, but now they're focusing on the next person, the next leader. Except that isn't exactly what happens, but Sarah does say they only want you for your womb. They only want you for your womb. That's what she says. And people are trying to argue that that is a woke statement. That's so woke. Sarah Connor went woke. At no point is it woke. Because it's, in her opinion, from her experience, from her perspective, for over 30 years, that's what she's believed. That her only value was that she produced the leader of the resistance. And she's been trying to make sure that didn't happen. And then at the end of the movie, her purpose is then made clear. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things. Garrick here follows up by saying, is this another Fury Road situation where people tried to drag it down for having an SJW agenda? Yeah, but on the exact opposite side of the spectrum. So for those of you who don't know, Mad Max Fury Road, I have to go back on this one because this is actually a really kind of fascinating story, and this is 100% true. Is Mad Max Fury Road was bogged down in identity politics in around April of 2015. A few weeks before the movie came out, there was this massive how to do online. A lot of online bloggers, a lot of movie bloggers, a lot of the progressive feminist types were coming out and saying, like, men's rights activists want this movie boycotted because women. And that was a narrative they ran with 4.5 years ago. They ran with this narrative and they ran with it hard. And that had all to do, really, with one guy, one dude, who is not a men's rights activist. He is actually an alt-writer named Matt Forney, who runs a blog, I think it's a podcast called This Alt-Right Life. And he was writing for a website called returnofkings.com, led by a guy named Roosh V. And if you know anything about Roosh V, he's basically a pickup artist. He's Elliot Rodgers if Elliot Rodgers got laid. That is who Roosh V is, the type of person that he is. So, as a result of that, they ran all these articles, they ran all these things, and they tried making it, they tried attacking it for being the thing. So then, of course, other people are trying to say that Mad Max Fury Road has an SJW agenda because they had the audacity to consult with the woman who wrote the vagina monologues. And she consulted with the women in the movie, the brides, the mothers, and gave them insight into the mindset of women who have been held in captivity and simply used as breeding machines, because that's something she did in Africa. That's all it was. Yes, the woman is a feminist, but she's done things that were relevant to this movie that could be used to help make a better experience. That's all it was. That's literally all it was that. People making this massive mountain out of a nothing molehill. If you go to returnofkings.com, I don't know if it's still there, but 4.5 years ago it was. And they say in their about page that they are not men's rights activists. Not at all. They hate men's rights activists. They don't want to deal with men's rights activists. But it all got put on MRA's feet, even though MRA's had literally nothing to do with anything involving this whole situation. And that's this, so when you look at Terminator failing because it's woke, it makes no sense when you start breaking down the story beat by beat by beat. But people out there really want to believe that this movie is some kind of social justice warrior propaganda film that is coming out to crap on the legacy of Terminator. Never mind that the story was conceived of by James Cameron, who produced the movie and then basically oversaw the final cut of the film. So if James Cameron, who created the Terminator franchise, was heavily involved, which he was heavily involved, we know this information. Is James Cameron woke for continuing his story with the character he created? No, of course not. People just want to get mad at Tim Miller because Tim Miller had said that this movie, like Sarah Connor, is just going to like scare the hell out of misogynists or something. Whoop-de-doo. Who cares? Who cares? Everyone like just blows this out of proportion. I was watching people today, Republicans and Democrats, who were on the Terminator Dark Fate hashtag on Twitter, saying that they saw the movie and that they liked it. Like avowed Los Angeles-based progressive male feminist Democrat was like, I really enjoyed Dark Fate. Hardcore Brooklyn born and raised conservative who is MAGA 2020 on Twitter going like, man, I really like Terminator Dark Fate. So I have to ask the question, did we see the same movie here? Or are people just really trying to make a mountain out of a molehill because, well, clicks and views and clicks and views and clicks and views? Think about that. This video is supported by patrons like you. If you'd like to become a patron, please head over to patreon.com/Matt Jarbo.